give an old man hope.
Alright, hello everyone, my name's the Flying Rodent and this is my Let's Play of Skyrim on Legendary difficulty. We are now officially Archmage. As you can see here, we have completed the College of Winterhold questline, which means that, crucially, we now have all of these nice items that come with completing the College of Winterhold questline. So that includes this little amulet here that boosts magicka by a bit, this little circlet here that boosts magicka by quite a bit, which can be used in tandem with the Hooded Archmage robes if you don't have the unofficial patch installed. There are pros and cons to having the unofficial patch installed or not installed. I guess from a stats perspective, the pros are that you can use this little circlet with the Archmage robes, but unfortunately the cons are that your crafted items will not be as powerful. So in your games, I would probably recommend you install the unofficial patch. Also, it fixes quite a lot of bugs that can happen, but I haven't done that. For this playthrough, I'm just playing without the unofficial patch because that's how I played the guide on the Switch. So yeah, basically got the Archmage robes, the Mage's Circlet, and Savus Aran's Amulet. So these are all magicka boosting items. The Archmage robes in particular are a very nice item because they reduce the spellcasting cost of all schools. And currently, so far in this playthrough, we have quite literally cast spells from every single school. So this is a useful robe to have. Eventually, once crafted equipment enters the picture, all of these items that I'm currently wearing right now will be forfeited in favour of high-tier crafting items. But in the mid-game, these are probably amongst the most useful items that your character can use, because you are basically an indirectly fighting ranged character that casts a lot of spells, and all of these items help you to cast spells. The one downside, of course, is that your armor rating is going to be quite low. So if you're not getting yourselves into physical fights very often, that's fine. Where it becomes an issue is if things try to sneak attack you from out of your peripheral vision, ergo saber cats and bears that might run at you in the wild. So to prevent that from happening and dying in 2 hits to that, we got ourselves the Become Ethereal shout, so that in the event that you happen, you've got a quarter of a second to panic and then hit this button that makes you invulnerable for about 6 seconds. But unfortunately, what that doesn't help you against is archers. Archers, we will be now probably going up against some opponents or some places that will include archers, and archers, particularly high-level archers, can just kill you in one shot, and sometimes you can't see them, and it's a very embarrassing way to die. So hopefully we don't die too much to archers moving forward. Yeah. One thing you can do, if you are prepared against archers as a mage, is to make use of the Alteration School and to make use of spells like Ebony Flesh, and then you might even want to, if you are making use of things like Ebony Flesh, where is the perks menu? If you are using Ebony Flesh, then you might also want to make use of the Mage Armor perks, and that will, if that can get you over the threshold to survive 1 arrow, that's a lot. Because sometimes, archers don't have a terribly high rate of fire, and if there's one that you can't happen to see who manages to get a pot shot at you and you survive that pot shot, then at least you have enough time to run behind cover and heal yourself and then go from there. So it may be worth getting at least one of these Mage Armor perks to survive archery, but then the flip side to that is that you have to remember to cast Ebony Flesh, and unfortunately alteration spells don't last too long. So that requires a little bit of preparation. If you choose to do that. We have got alteration to 32 now, so what we might do is we might actually select a couple of perks, namely this one here, Magic Resistance. So this is the more useful perk of the alteration tree that you can select, and you can select this 3 times, I believe at 30, 50 and 70 alteration, and then that just boosts your magic resistance. And really in the mid-game, because of the way that this build works, you probably only need this perk, these 3 perks, and maybe that one there. Because alteration, ironically, as a school, doesn't really offer you too much in the way of actual spells that you can consistently use. What it offers you are these perks, and then these conditional spells like Ebony Flesh that require a little perk. But outside of that, so it says, you can cast Water Breathing, you can cast Magical Protection and Paralysis. Paralysis you can only cast at Expert level alteration, and then you don't even need the perk for that if you happen to make the Jedi set that this guild advertises once enchanting hits 100. So you only need to unlock up to Apprentice to gain access to these 2 defensive perks. And then if you want to make your way up the tree, you of course can, and you can get things like Expert Alteration and maybe even Atronak if you wanted, but it's probably better in the mid-game to save your perks for crafting skills. So yeah, I advertise in the guide basically once you hit the cusp of the mid-game, once you've got Expert Conjuration and Summon Dremora Lord, that you can pretty much save the majority of your perk points towards crafting skills. So if I was to power level my way purely to crafting after hitting the mid-game, I could feasibly save the 20 perks or whatever that are required to do that and hit the quote-unquote late game of maxing all of my 3 crafting skills by level 45 or so, probably level 40 to 45. But in this playthrough, I have taken quite a lot of auxiliary perks, so we won't be able to do that. We still have to... the only crafting perk we've selected so far is the Alchemist perk. Is 1 Alchemist perk, so we still have about another 20 to go. And we've only got 1 to spare. So more than likely, this character will hit the quote-unquote mid-game by about level 50 to 60. That's what I expect to happen. Alright. Okay, well, we've just become head of the Mages Guild, so we've officially now... the Mages Guild, the College of Winterhold. That's... yes. Anyway, we've officially become the Archmage of the College of Winterhold, and now... we have basically covered everything in the guide up to Chapter 6. So Chapter 4 is getting started out in Riverwood. Chapter 5 is all of the early game tactics, so we covered things like early game quests and items to do, so basically joining the College of Winterhold and doing the Book of Love quest, which comes out of Riften and gives you 15% magic resistance, which we've now done. And then it also covers just using carriages to travel between towns. It covers using Feindal, which we have now replaced with Lydia. It covers using early game conjuration, such as raising bodies and summoning swords for experience, which we've done to get conjuration to 100. It covers illusion magic, so we did opt to get a few illusion perks, mainly to make use of illusion. I didn't make as much use of illusion in this playthrough as I would have liked. You kind of... using illusion is a very non-confrontationalist way of dealing with combat, because you basically will run around and you'll save all of your magicka reserves and time to cast crowd control spells on enemies for then your summons to deal with. So if you were to make, like, a quote-unquote pacifist character that got other people to do your dirty work for you, then illusion would be a skill that you would use quite a lot. The only time we really used it is to calm opponents that were running in our face, and we now have sort of more immediate options for that. We've also used it to spam Muffle, I guess, to practice sneak attack, but we haven't used it to its full extent. I won't invest any more perks into illusion until we get to the late game. But one thing you can do, I guess, is you can get this perk here if you are a destruction mage, because you can get a destruction perk called Intense Flames that increases the magnitude of fire. Well, it means that fire spells come with an added fear effect, and this affects fire spells. So you can indirectly influence your destruction damage by taking that aspect of terror perk if you have Intense Flames and use fire magic, which we haven't really been doing beyond basic destruction, which is why it's only 24 and we've only taken 1 perk in it. So you can do that. But I probably won't, because I'd like to sort of get myself to the crafting stage. I think now I've got adequate combat skills for what I need. So yeah, we didn't make use of illusion magic, but that was 5.5. 5.6 dealt with restoration, and we power level restoration pretty quickly, actually, because we went out of our way to get hurt a lot and heal ourselves in combat. Had some pretty hairy combat scenarios that hopefully illustrated how useful restoration is. And so we got, all you need really is Novice and Apprentice, and then that's sufficient really until late game. We also decided to get Respite, which restores fatigue as well as health. And this can be quite useful if you like sprinting around the place. It gives you a bit of extra mobility more than anything. So there's that, and then 5.7 dealt with early crafting skills. So we've smithed a few Iron Daggers and Leather Braces just to cover that area. We have made use of enchanting quite a bit. It's the one that we've made use of the most, but crucially we haven't taken any perks in it. And that's because we've only used enchanting really to enchant weapons. And the skill gains that you get from making enchanted items are in no way correspondent to the value of the item. Unlike smithing and unlike alchemy, you just get a block amount of experience for enchanting something. So yeah, we've just left enchanting completely alone, and haven't bothered to invest any perks into it. And then also there's this weird interaction in game where actually the more enchanting skill you have, the less that your enchanted weapons sell for, just because of the way they've calculated the value of enchanted weapons. So TLDR, we've leveled enchanting a lot by making enchanted weapons, but we haven't put any perks in it. And then finally, we made a little bit use of alchemy, mainly in the early game, to make basically restore and resist potions. So if you were just playing, in a fairly organic manner and you followed sort of general locations that the main quest advertises, you went to Riverwood, you went to Whiterun, you visited a few caves, there are some common ingredients that you can pick up to make some fairly common basic potions that restore health, magic, stamina, and resist all of the elements and magic. And then there's a couple you can get some invisibility and some paralysis stuff fairly easily as well, but that's all we've done. We haven't bothered to power level alchemy. You can go out of your way to power level alchemy early in the game, and it is an extremely powerful skill, to the point where you can start up a business and basically just become a non-confrontational businessman and then make a ton of money and then just train your way to success if you really wanted. There are gameplay runs out there that quite literally just hone in on alchemy from minute one and then use that to get to powerful status. But again, I tried to make this run quite organic. So we haven't used that. So yeah, that's about 10 minutes of exposition as to what we have done so far, for those interested in listening. What we might do now is we might move on to Chapter 7 and the stuff covered in Chapter 7. So Chapter 6 dealt with mid-game stuff, I guess. So that was Lydia and fighting a dragon and using Dremora Lords and other summons and shouts and getting the merchant perk via going to Windhelm, which we did, and then finally completing the College of Winterhold quests. So we've basically got ourselves up to Chapter 6, so we're into Chapter 7. So Chapter 7 is all focused on mastering the crafting skills. If you were to play this, you don't need to jump into mastering the crafting skills at this stage. Again, this build is meant to be open-ended. You could go off and complete the Companion's quests or the Thieves' Guild quests or whatever you like. But I figured to try and advertise what's in the guide, I'll just do things in this playthrough that are quite close to the guide, I think, now. So yeah, the first thing that you want to do, I guess, is you probably want to head to Solstheim, because we haven't done that yet. So let's go to Solstheim. So you reach Solstheim from Windhelm. And there's a couple of things that you can do in Solstheim to help move things along. We should probably sell some stuff, actually, because we have quite a lot of items to sell from memory. But you know what? We don't need to sell anything in order to start off what I wanted to do on Solstheim, because we're not actually plundering any dungeons as such to begin with. Where am I going? I'm going down here, and then I'm going over here, and then you can reach the docks from over here, if that makes sense. Alright. Alright, yeah, Lydia's kitted out with all of the stuff we looted from Labyrinthian, so she actually has some improved armor and a shield and stuff. Which you can leave on her if you wanted to have a bit of extra protection, but keep in mind that if you do that, she can't carry as much stuff. She's got this sort of permanent set of steel armor that unfortunately you can't remove. And so if you're happy with her innate tankiness, the best thing to do is just give her a one-handed weapon and a helmet and leave it at that. Which is what I've advertised in the guide and what we've mainly done so far. Alright, so you come here and you meet up with this guy. So far we have been confronted by the cultists, because they... We've met the Greybeards, and they appear once you've met the Greybeards. And then once you do that, this guy is a bit reluctant to take you back to Solstheim.
I'm not going back there anymore.
Why not?
Surprised you've never heard of it. It's an island northeast of here. There's a small dark elf town called Raven Rock, and a handful of Nords living in Skal Village. But I'm not going back there. There's something wrong about that place. It's hard to explain. I remember those people with the masks coming on board. Then, the next thing I remember, I was here, and they were gone. That's not right, losing whole days like that. There's been something strange going on there for a while. But after this, I'm done. I'm not going back to Solstheim. Have you been listening to me? I'm not going back there.
So, then you're given options. You can either pay him double the money that you would normally take to go here, or you can use your awesome speech skill that you've trained up to 50 to just persuade him.
All right. You have a
And then you
point.
can do it for free.
Taking you back to find out who sent them is the least I can do. Besides, maybe you can put a stop to whatever's going on over there. I owe them a bit of payback myself.
Alright, and then off we go to Solstheim. Woohoo! So yeah, Solstheim, the Dragonborn expansion in Skyrim, is very much a throwback to Morrowind. We are basically getting a snapshot into Morrowind, but 200 years later. It's essentially the angle they're going for with the Dragonborn expansion. So there's a lot of ash. There's a lot of ash landscape, and then I guess to blend it with Skyrim, there's a lot of snow landscape, and then the landscape is dominated by dark elves. And yeah, it's very reminiscent of Morrowind. Maybe, if I get to the end of this playthrough, and I've said everything that I want to say that I've covered in the guide, I might do a Let's Play of Morrowind. It will depend on what time I have left. I've sort of had quite a bit of free time recently. Yeah, I might decide to do a Let's Play of Morrowind for those who are interested in doing that. Because that was my OG game, and I know that game a lot better than I know Skyrim. Anyway.
I don't recognize you. So I'll assume this is your first.
Ironically, though, I haven't written a thesis-length guide for Morrowind the same way that I've done so for Oblivion and Skyrim. I guess, tasked myself with those for Oblivion and Skyrim because I didn't know them as well as I knew Morrowind. But I could very easily write a guide the same length as the one I did for Oblivion or Morrowind Oblivion or Skyrim for Morrowind, if I can be bothered. Anyway, so we're looking for Mirak. Who's Mirak?
Mirak, I'm not sure that I do. Just remember, Raven Rock is sovereign territory of House Redderon. This is Morrowind, not Skyrim. While you're here, you will be expected to abide by our laws. Any questions?
Yeah, anyway, so you can ask him about different things about Raven Rock, say it's like, a pure Dunmer settlement and yada yada yada, but I'm going to leave that alone for now. You can spend quite a bit of time, talking to the townsfolk and doing some things in Morrowind again. I mean, in Solstheim, it has, again, very, very Morrowind-esque aesthetic with some Skyrim flavour. You got all these dudes in bone mold armour, except now it's heavy armour because medium armour is not a skill that exists anymore. And then, yeah, some general merchants in town as normal. You've got a smith here, you've got an alchemy person there, and then you've got a general trader over there. So what we might do actually is we might just sell our stuff to these guys before we go any further.
I am sworn to carry your burdens.
So, I don't actually know what I picked up then. We'll start with the boots and the armour and the shield. Sorry about that, Lydia. We might just sell the bones. Yeah, once again, you can kit her out with stuff that's a bit more tanky, but we don't really need to. I'm just going to amble over to this dude, and he's going to tell us about... He stole my pickaxe! And then, if you find out the person who owns this particular pickaxe, then he takes you towards a quest underneath Raven Rock to clear out the mine and discover something buried within. And then if you're interested in helping the townsfolk, that's a nice quest to do, because then the mine opens back up and people are happy because there's an income source from the ebony mine. That's nice. But that's a side quest. You don't necessarily have to do that, but we might do that because we can use that to get Severin Manor. So maybe at some point we'll do that quest just to advertise what Severin Manor is, because that is something that I advertised in the guide. Alright, what we might do is we might sell these bones actually first, and see if I can get by just selling him things that I don't want to disenchant. So yeah, if you want to use public crafting stations on Solstheim, there are quite a few of them. All three of them are within Severin Manor, which we'll get to at a point in time. But if you just want to use, yeah, we'll keep all this stuff. Oh, there we go. And now he's out of gold. Whatever. I don't really care too much. Thanks. Yeah, if you want to use public crafting station, so you've got a smelter and you've got a forge here, you've got this here little alchemy table next to the alchemy lady, and then you've got a couple of enchanters. The most easiest to access one is in this manor here. So this guy is involved in the Served Cold quest, which is basically the quest where you finally secure Morvain Manor. I mean, not Morvain Manor, this is Morvain Manor, Severin Manor, but he has a little enchanting thing that you can use here, and you can use it at any time, and they don't really mind. So yeah, FYI, I usually use this enchanting altar, and then the alchemy thing outside, and then the forge if I wanted to do anything publicly, and I did not have access to Severin Manor yet. Yeah, cool, we can disenchant that helmet, we can disenchant this little lockpicking thing, and yeah, sweet. Alright, and I don't really have too many things that I can enchant at the moment. I've got a butt ton of soul gems, so that's something. Maybe what we'll do now, actually, maybe what we'll do for this video is I will advertise the Travelling Salesman Routes, because that itself is a video that is kind of, you know, takes a while, but it also is not very action friendly, and so far this video is not very action friendly. We've kind of just been running between NPCs and talking them, so maybe if I could lump all of the actionless stuff into a collection of videos and then put an FYI at the beginning, then it'll be more interesting for the people watching. Anyway, they don't have the weapon that I was looking for. I was hoping that he would have a I was hoping that he might have a Banish Daedra weapon, but he doesn't. So what we are going to do is we're going to start off a quest that involves us having to pay someone a little bit of money to excavate Kolbjorn Barrow. So that's something we can do here. I guess as an FYI, all of the quests that I advertise on Solstheim, I do recommend that you have this first. Yeah, because there are some fixed level enemies in these locations. You can come here at level 10 and fight Draugr Deathlords, and so yeah, it helps if you have if you have something to deal with enemies like Draugr Deathlords. So yeah, the way this character does that is that they summon Beavis and Butthead, and then they do the work for you. So now that we can summon both Beavis and Butthead, we can watch them do stuff for us, like this. And so now what we have to do is not shoot the captain with my horrible FPS. And these enemies that like moving from side to side. One down. Might actually give him a bit of health. There we go, sweet. Get some restoration experience in the process. Yeah, so these are Ashspawns. So what's the story behind Ashspawns? If you follow...
I could have said the same for my man here.
This guy's actually my favourite dude on the whole of Solstheim, because he's a Yorkshire Dark Elf, isn't he? He's just going to tell you that these like Ashspawn are invading this farm, and you got to like do some stuff and figure out where the things are. And he's just a simple man with an axe, with his cool accent. So now we've got to find like a little note to give to this guy.
I was going to search for clues that might lead me to wherever they're coming from. I know it isn't the best place to start, but we know they've been coming from this direction.
I'll lend you a hand, mate. What do I need to do?
Besides, I don't feel we were searching the farm when the Ashspawn ambushed us. Have a look around and see if you can turn up anything useful.
Anyway, so yeah, that's my terrible rendition of a Yorkshire accent. But yeah, this guy's cool because he has a Yorkshire accent, and Yorkshire's a cool accent. This is the bit where someone will tell me that actually it's Lancashire, and then I got it wrong.
Carius was the Imperial garrison commander at Fort Frostmoth, but he died over 200 years ago when the Red Mountain leveled the place. There's no way he could still be alive. If General Carius is still alive, there must be something keeping him that way. I need you to head out to Fort Frostmoth and check it out. I'm going to head back to Raven Rock and prepare the men for further assaults. Be careful. General Carius is out of his mind.
Alright, anyway, so he gives you something called the March of the Dead quest, which is basically go to Fort Frostmoth and kill a guy who has lots of Ashspawn around him. That is one of two quests, along with the plundering your way down Raven Rock Mine that you need to do to get to Serve Cold, which you need to do to get to get Severin Manor. For the moment, we will leave that alone. All we're really here for is to gain access to this quest here. So that's what we're going to do. So this here is Kolbjorn Barrow. You'll notice that even though it's like, you know, a little bit southeast of Raven Rock, you kind of need to walk all the way along this little rock face and up here in order to reach it. You can like cleverly make your way up the rock face by jumping, but Lydia can't, so I went the long way. Alright, so then you get this cool barrow, and then you meet this little dude here. Hey man.
Sarah.
With me? What's the matter with you?
Sorry, I've just had a lot of hawk-faced cowards coming by to mock my efforts. It probably can't hurt to tell you. You look mostly honest.
The name's Ralis Sedarys, out of Morrowind.
I've got a financier waiting for me back on the mainland.
Sent me here in the interests of obtaining some rare antiquities, relics of Arsenal.
But this whole thing became a disaster right quick, let me tell you. You come out of the Northern Ashlands, you don't expect things to go easy, you know. But this was something outside my particular expertise. When I first got to Kolbjorn, you couldn't even see it. Buried in the ash, like most other things on this blasted island. Dug out a pile of the stuff taller than me just to find the barrow. Who knows how much to reach the door. Excavating isn't exactly my specialty. Even if it was, the ash storms fill it in faster than you can dig. You think I've got that kind of money? No. I only get paid on delivery. Can't afford to go out of pocket for 1,000 septims on this. Takes money to make money, all that rot.
I have money.
There's a lot of it at the other end, but I can't get there without a little pig to start it off.
Here you go.
What? Are you serious? Well, I think I could make that work. We can sort out the details of our arrangement later.
But for now, I'll manage the dig if you can manage the coin.
Do you have the gold?
It's all here. Well then,
I'll head back to Raven Rock and round up some diggers.
once we've got something worth looking at, I'll send word to you.
Pleasure doing business with you, partner.
I'll see you soon.
Alright. So yeah, he's a bit of a sarcastic dark elf with a very drolly accent who has lots of silly things to say. And you can pay him to excavate the barrow, and he's got a very smarmy, dry sense of humour, which I relate to very well. That's why I let him talk. Didn't skip his dialogue like all of the meaningless NPCs at the college, because he's got a bit more personality. Yeah, anyway, so he digs the barrow out in 4 stages, and you've got to pay him 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and 5,000 gold to do it, and as we'll hopefully see in future videos, there are reasons why you need to do that. But he needs some time to dig out each part of the barrow. So, yeah. What we're going to do, I'm not going to do that now. We're actually going to head back to the mainland, and we are going to begin a travelling salesman route in search of a Banish Daedra weapon, because now would be a good time to do that. So, what is a travelling salesman route, do you ask? So, the travelling salesman problem is basically a problem that's existed for quite a while. It's used if anything to test the efficiency of computer systems nowadays. But it tests it's a problem where you try to find the shortest distance between different points along a circuit. You try and find the shortest distance between a collection of points if you were to only visit each point once. Similar to if you were a travelling salesman that travelled around a loop, then you would visit certain locations once and then travel on to the next place and then go back to the start. So typically it's a loop. Some travelling salesman problems look quite jagged, but I don't know whether or not mine is quote-unquote the most optimal travelling salesman route that you can take in Morrowind, but I think it's pretty, in Morrowind, in Skyrim, but it's pretty damn close. So what the point of this route is it gives you the opportunity to then visit a lot of merchants in towns and then allow ample time for all of their stuff to restock. Because merchant inventories respawn every 48 hours. So if you let 48 hours pass, then the merchant inventories return to normal. The most simple travelling salesman route that you can do that will allow you to do this is to basically fast travel from Markarth all the way to Riften, because these locations are 25 hours apart. So once you've travelled from one to the other, then the shops reset. But the problem with that is that it's not a neat number, and so then you end up with this, like, first off, there's not all of the merchants that you need to find in both Markarth and Riften. Second, they can be quite a run. And third, then you're left with this time delay after it's, gone through a few cycles where you end up, it's night time in one of the cities, and then you just have to wait an entire day. So the point of the travelling salesman route that I came up with is that there's a minimal time that you spend waiting for daytime to occur, and you just jump between all of the towns and visit the merchants that you need to, and then move on. And it goes for 3 days rather than 2 to sort of account for the lag. So yeah, we're going to do that now. We're going to so this is the 7.3 travelling salesman route 1 that we're going to do now. But before we do that, we need to discover the locations along the route. So that means I need to discover Dawnstar, and that means that I need to discover Solitude, and I also need to discover Falkreath. So we are going to use this here little carriage to discover those now.
Where do you want to go?
We'll start with Dawnstar,
Climb and back, and we'll be off.
because that one kind of doesn't really have a carriage at it. So either way, I'm going to have to fast travel from somewhere to somewhere if I went to Dawnstar anyway. So we're going to do that. We're going to fast travel to Dawnstar and hopefully not get attacked by a dragon, and then instantly fast travel somewhere else. But first we're going to discover the town. That would be useful. There we go. And then next, hopefully before a dragon appears, we are going to fast travel to somewhere with a carriage. The nearest place would probably be Whiterun, so let's go there. So yeah, you can of course make something out of walking to these places instead of just finding the cheap way of taking a carriage there, but this is, again, to illustrate, you can do this. You can just use the carriage to get to every single city if you don't want to walk.
I can take you to any... Where do you want to go?
So next we're going to go to Solitude.
Climb and back, and we'll be off. First time to Solitude? Beautiful old city, capital of Skyrim, but I'm sure you'll...
Alright, so now we are in Solitude. So the stables in Solitude are a little bit weird. The carriage that you take is here, but he's not actually in any location. But he's kind of near this Cattler's Farm stables thing, so I now need to run all the way up there to quote-unquote access Solitude. Which we might do, because there's like a little cutscene thing that we're going to have to get through anyway, and we might as well do that when the shops aren't open. Because it happens no matter whenever you decide to enter the city. So let's go in here now. Yeah, Solitude is, I kind of think it's quite like Riften. There's a lot of rich people in Solitude, so it's a great place to be a thief. There's a lot of port, caves and towns and places around Solitude with some loot to steal in them, and there's a lot of opportunities to be sneaky. So yeah, if you wanted to be a stealthy character, Solitude is a nice place to hang out, because there's a lot of rich people to steal from. Alright, so yeah, you always get this little scene.
Tell them he didn't do it.
Positions.
Sorry, you need to go home. Go home and stay there until your mother comes.
You betrayed us.
Get on with it!
You should tell her that her uncle is scum that betrayed his high king. Best she know now, that's all.
You're all hard.
Rogvir, you helped Ulfric Stormcloak escape the city after he murdered High King Torrig. By opening that gate for Ulfric, you betrayed the people of Solitude.
He doesn't deserve to speak!
There was no murder. Ulfric challenged Torrig. He beat the High King in fair combat. Such is our way. Such is the ancient custom of Skyrim and all Nords. On this day, I go
Bye.
to Sovngarde.
Did it. And she's like, nah, I'll turn back and have a look. Anyway, so all these people now stand around and they go back to what they're doing, and they always appear here no matter what the time of day is. So yeah, that's that out of the way. That means the next time I turn back and I come back to Solitude, they won't be standing around looking at someone about to be executed anymore, which is nice. And then finally, we have to travel to Falkreath. And with any luck, we can do it before sunrise. I don't think so. It takes, I think, about 12-ish hours to fast travel to Falkreath from here, so we're probably not going to manage to do it before the sun rises. So we might spend the next day doing some other stuff
Need a ride?
before we jump into the Travelling Salesman Route.
I can take you to where do you want to go? Climb and back, and we'll be off.
Alright, and off to Falkreath. Whee!
Oh, steady.
So yeah, this playthrough unfortunately is not going to be a very interactive playthrough because we're just trying to do quests mainly. There is unfortunately a portion of the mid-game where you sort of have to do a little bit of this and you just sort of have to walk back and forth between NPCs and there's not really any action. Yeah, it's 1 PM. So what we might do, we'll check his inventory anyway. No dragon. So the smith is here. He gets you to go and find a dog who turns out to be the companion of Clavicus Vile, if you want to do that quest. And he is immortal, so if you decide not to do the quest, he can just follow you around forever and be this immortal dog tank that doesn't shut up.
Yeah. It's a smart man to demand something up front for his work. Some gold now, and some when I have my dog. Here's the meat.
Cool, and you can get 25 gold from a persuasion check, why not? So let's see if he has... Oh, that's not what I wanted.
Blades, helmets, pretty much anything to suit your needs.
Soul Trap, magic of damage... Nah, he doesn't. Alright, well, we'll sell stuff to him when we begin the route, but the first thing that I will do is travel to Whiterun, and we'll make... What's the best way to use this time? Maybe go to Whiterun and dump all of our stuff and make sure that we're ready to go. Next thing we can do actually is enchant some daggers, because we've got some daggers waiting at home, and even if the shops are open we can just use the daggers, so that works. See if you're still open, because you're technically a tavern, and I might be able to buy some iron off you in the event that I don't have enough daggers to enchant. Yep. So yeah, this guy's technically a smith as well. We'll just check his weapons. He does have a paralysis weapon. We could buy this and then disenchant that, but the value that you get from the paralysis enchantment is not that much different from absorb health, which we've now disenchanted. So I don't think I will bother. What I mainly came here for,
Take a look.
is to buy his iron and leather strips, like this. And I'll buy his lockpick too, why not? And yeah, I'll sell him some stuff while we're here. Oh, whatever, fuck. We'll come back later. Alright, so now I go and get my...
I'm the commander of the guard here in Whiterun.
Go and get my Iron Daggers to disenchant, and we'll put all our loot in here. Because gotta love the admin parts of these sorts of games where you just spend time rearranging crap in your house and sorting loot and all that jazz. We're basically not going to use Staff of Magnus ever again, so it is now going to sit in a sack that it can somehow fit in. Unfortunately, you can't get rid of this amulet because it is a quest amulet, so you kind of need to do the quest in order to get rid of the amulet, so it sort of just is a permanent 0.5 weight sitting in your inventory, which is not ideal, but it's not the end of the world. We'll put... You know what, we're not going to use... That's an apparel though, so we'll put you back in here. So we're going to put Mordecai and can sell that technically. I don't think that can be disenchanted, so I can sell that too. So all of this stuff can be sold. I must have put the daggers back in here. What did I do with the daggers? I had a ton. What did I do with my daggers, Lydia? I've forgotten. That's rather sad. Did I put them in another container that I'm forgetting about? I don't know. Maybe I left them in another town or something. I could have left them in Windhelm actually when I was carting all that stuff back. Unless, no, you're not carrying them. Whatever, we can make new ones. Not the end of the world. There we go. So I should put these in the weapons container because that's the point of the weapons container. Alright, so we'll keep the weapons here now because we're going to enchant them. Then we are going to put the apparel in the apparel thing, and this is the apparel thing, so we're going to put apparel in the apparel thing, which means necklaces, ring, and more necklaces and rings that we can enchant later. Then that's that. Then in the crafting equipment, oops, we will put. I have no idea how the hell that's going to fit back on the cabinet as well. By the way, lol. Well, yeah. So we got like a ton of soul gems. We might put the grand soul gems with grand souls in them in here, so that they don't get confused with these ones that got lesser souls in them earlier. Oops. We will put the iron ingots in here, and then come back if we absolutely need to. Put the leather strips and the leather in here, and come back if we absolutely need to. Put the ore in. Yeah, and now we have a bunch of gems that we need to enchant. So what we can do to kill the time is go up to Dragon's Reach and do that.
Gray names to oblivion. They want to back the storm cloaks. They'll get what's coming to them.
Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to buy some gems off you, and we're going to sell them everything that actually is not the daggers of the gems, because the point of this run is to try and find the Banish Daedra enchantment and then convert them all. So I just remembered what my original goal of this particular thing was, so we're actually not going to do what I said we were going to do. We're going to hold on to all this crap, and we're going to wait. Right.
You know, if you've got the aptitude.
And then we're going to go to Falkreath, and then we'll start the run. Okay. Yeah, we're not over encumbered. We're not about to buy too much. But I will show you guys in theory what a quote-unquote travelling salesman loop looks like. So the first thing you need to do is you need to go to Falkreath, and then you need to wait till 8 AM. So that's what we're going to do. Now you can do a number of things because you're accessing so many merchants. You can quite literally just use this to sell a bunch of loot to different people. If you want a big cash injection, you can use this to access a lot of inventories for a particular item. Say you're looking for an enchanted item to disenchant, like we're going to use it for. And then you can also use it to buy crafting material, which is originally what it was for. I originally designed this when, once upon a time, I thought the best way to max smithing was to buy iron and leather and then make daggers and braces, but the times have changed, so that's no longer the most optimal method of maxing smithing before, but the route that I devised remains, so it can be used for other stuff. So here we go, Travelling Salesman. Let's start again. So yeah, first thing you do is you visit Lod. If you wanted to trade smithing materials with him, you can. I won't bother at this stage. I think we've already checked his inventory, and he doesn't have any damaged stamina weapons. He may well have some other stuff that we might want to take. So like he's got a sneaking thing, I could get that, but I don't really want to spend 3 grand on that just yet. I can sell these and I can sell those because I can't disenchant any of them. Keep a hold of all the daggers and the braces. I'll sell him back his fresh meat that he gave me because lol. He can have these scrolls. There you go, that's good enough. I'm not really too interested in min-maxing for value there. Anyway, So that's that. Then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to go to Riverwood, and then you're going to visit Alvor, and then you're going to visit the smith there. So about 8 AM, 8 to 9 AM, you're trading with Lod, and then at about 1 to 2 PM, you're trading with Alvor. Now, at any time a dragon could appear and kind of stuff up the rhythm, which is why this particular Travelling Salesman Route has a little bit of a give in it. So you don't have to worry about visiting shops, you know, like at 8 AM and 7 PM on the dot. I've left a little bit of room in there. Well, I haven't left, I just discovered a route that had a little bit of room in there. He doesn't have anything in the way of... No, he doesn't have anything in the way of enchanted of damage Banish Daedra weapons. But you can get a really cheap turn undead weapon. So if you manage to get something like this early in the game, that's a freaking bargain, because this thing is worth the same amount as damage stamina and absorb health just about. So you can spend $400 on an enchantment from a merchant that you can then disenchant and make 200 to 250 gold per pop with enchanted daggers. It's pretty silly. So yeah, then we're going to go to Whiterun, and then we're going to visit the smiths in Whiterun. So Destination 1, Falkreath, visit Lod, trade smithing stuff. Destination 2, go to Alvor, trade smithing stuff. Destination 3, now there's 3 smiths right near the front door.
I don't claim to
So we can go with Adrienne. I think we've already looked at her inventory. She doesn't have anything interesting either, but I'll just see if there's anything I can sell her. I should have put those ingredients back, actually. Can put these back. A couple of books. That. Sell her some cup and a garnet. And that stupid lantern that fell over that I'm never going to see again. And a couple of rubies. And yeah, that'll do it. You can go up there and visit him. We've already done that. Then you can go in here. Be sure when you visit in here to wait for her to stop speaking, because then she doesn't come in and share shop inventories with this guy. So basically her routine is that she stays outside and has a separate shop until she comes inside, and then she has his shop. And yeah, we'll have a look. Nothing that looks like damage stamina, so yeah, won't bother there. And we'll keep going. Just as an FYI, you can be searching for quite a while doing this. So hopefully we manage to find one in not very much time. Because this is... You can also, if you don't want to be contrived, just wait until one rocks up in loot. But again, I want to advertise the principle that you can use this particular route to search shop inventories to, you know, try and fast track your way to finding a Banish Daedra item and go from there. The shops in this sector don't open until 8 AM. So we can actually go down the bottom and buy some alchemy stuff, and then in Whiterun we can go and buy some alchemy stuff as well. And what's happened now is 3 days have passed, and so one of Ralis's couriers has come up to tell us that he needs a bit of assistance. So now that 3 days has passed, we can go and visit Ralis, see how his dig's going. And yeah, go and help him out by killing some Draugr. We won't worry about that just yet. We're going to wait until 8 AM, wait for Ballerman to turn up. Which he is, there he goes, just teleports into existence. And then we'll see what he has as well. So you have nothing interesting, no. Alright, anyway, bye. Alright, next merchant. So the next merchant on the list is Windhelm. So we're going to go there. So yeah, this is a pretty contrived part of the guide, I will admit. If you choose to do this, you don't have to choose to do this again. You can just wait for a, you know, Banish Daedra weapon to occur in loot. But if you wanted to, you know, get yourself your hands on a Banish Daedra weapon as soon as possible, after level 22, you can find it for sale in merchants. No, that's absorb stamina, that's turn undead, yeah. So yeah, you can do this. The next part of the route, you can come here and then you can also go to the palace and then trade soul gems if you wanted. Then typically I would go to Winterhold and then purchase all of their soul gems. So then, as you would normally do, you go to Winterhold and then you're at Winterhold at night, because once again, the best time to visit Winterhold is at about midnight, and it's now about almost midnight, so maybe it's best to wait another hour to do that. The next place you go after you've bought all the stuff, I'm not going to bother because I kind of want to get to the Banish Daedra bit as soon as possible, is you can go to Dawnstar. and then wait there to 8 AM, and then knowing my luck we'll fight a dragon because we haven't done that for a little while. So I'm going to wait here for 3 hours for all the shops to open. So yeah, this is all outlined in 7.3 of the guide, which is Travelling Salesman Route 1. So we visited Falkreath, Riverwood, Whiterun, Riften, Windhelm, College of Winterhold, and now we're at Dawnstar. And we've mainly visited smithing merchants, and then if you take the opportunity at the College of Winterhold, you can visit all of the enchanting merchants there. So this was originally designed as a smithing and enchanting focused, and booyah! We got one. We managed to get one in a decent amount of time. Alright, so this is a Banish Daedra weapon, and we got it on a bow, which is the cheapest variant, so we lucked out big time. So yes, it does seem a bit weird that we want to buy a $4,000 weapon from a merchant, but rest assured you are going to make this money back very quickly. So we're just going to do this, and what we might do is we might see if we can make use of the enchanting altar here to disenchant it and actually make some enchanted weapons. Which means I have to remember where the hell the Jarl lives in this place. Yeah, oh, there's an alchemist there, and you can buy stuff from the alchemist. But mainly I just want to visit the Jarl, who's probably in that big fancy house. That's probably a good location for a Jarl to live. Yeah, there we go, and he's talking to the people outside about the dreams that Vermina is screwing everyone over with, which I'm not going to bother listening to. But yeah, typically in these towns, the Jarl's locations will have an enchanting altar. So if you are not at a major town, you can, like Falkreath or Morthal or Dawnstar, then you can find one of these enchanting altars. So we're going to disenchant it, and then we are going to make some Banish Daedra daggers. So just as a... This is currently what we were doing. So we started with damage stamina, and the current value for our damage stamina weapons is 642, and then we upgraded to absorb health. We didn't even get to use this. That moves up to 666, which is a bit of an increase, and Banish weapons are 1,994. Yep. Give me the money. And once again, it doesn't actually matter what the value of your enchanted item is. It's completely arbitrary. Completely arbitrary as to what your item is. You will gain the same amount, or rather the enchantment, you will gain the same amount of enchanting skill regardless of what enchantment you stick on it. And the reason why we tried to look for Banish Daedra again is for the money. So yeah, we're pretty much just going to ride enchanting daggers all the way to level 40, or all the way to level 100, level 40. Jesus, that's a Neverwinter Nights reference. That was the max level in Neverwinter Nights. Yeah, you can just ride all this all the way to max enchanting level, basically, which we're going to do. Another thing you can do if you want to max enchanting and you don't want to enchant daggers is you can do the Mace of Molag Bal quest, and then you can just like smack stuff with that, soul trap it, and then if you've also got it combined with the Azura's Star, then you can continually recharge the mace and gain enchanting skill that way. But that doesn't net you, several tens of thousands of dollars worth of profit like this does. So I prefer this, even though it's a bit slower, because then you can use it to pay for all of the things that you're most likely going to pay for anyway. Because the next thing that we're going to pay for, which we've held off up until this point, is alchemy training. And you can get our alchemy training from Arcadia and Whiterun, who maybe we'll visit after this, just to advertise what you can do, and then maybe end the video there. Now, all of these Grand Soul Gems have less than Grand Souls in them, which is, I put all of the Grand Soul Gems back at town, so rest assured I'm not wasting Grand Souls on these things. It just happens to be that they're in the gems, because it's a bit confusing. It judges things by the gem. And another thing you'll notice is that the value of all of my enchantments are going down, because enchanting value in this game is kind of weird. I'm not quite sure how it calculates things, but it's almost like the more enchanting skill you get, the less items are worth. It's still worth, you know, an awful lot more than it would have been if you weren't using. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm probably actually going to run out of daggers, which is a bit sad. And that is something telling me that I need to go do something. So yeah, we might have enough. We've got 6 gems and 7 daggers. So you know what? We might just bite the bullet and enchant our fine daggers, because it's not like we're really using them for anything at the moment anyway. And we can summon bound swords if we want to level up sneak attack by hitting stuff, so we can get rid of our fine iron daggers. So I might do that so that I've stopped carrying them around. So we're actually going to go down here now, and if I have 1 iron dagger spare, then I've got an iron dagger spare. That's fine by me. Yeah, sweet. Alright, cool. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, and probably the final thing we're going to do in the video, is we're now going to go to Arcadia and begin alchemy training. So we're gonna go over there now. Actually, you know what? We'll go to our final destination along the route, because we did make the effort to do this whole route. So we'll go to Solitude, and we'll visit the people in Solitude that are relevant, and then we'll leave it there. And thus concludes an admin video with not much action in it, that at least got it out of the way, and hopefully got most of the admin that this character has to do in one video. You can go and visit an alchemist in there. I'm not going to bother visiting an alchemist in there. I'm just going to go up here to the smith to illustrate there's a smith. Yep, hey Smith, and then we can give him some money for his stuff. We'll see if he's actually got anything worth disenchanting. I don't know if I've got an alteration thing to disenchant, so I'm just going to bet my money that I do. And I know I've got a two-handed thing that I can disenchant, and I know I've got a lockpicking thing that I can disenchant, but it doesn't matter because these little beauties are worth 700 and something gold. There we go, and that one's worth the most. Thanks. There we go. Money. Alright, and then you head down to Falkreath, and then you repeat everything all over again, pretty much. And that's the route. Once again, it's very smithing and enchanting focused. You visit mainly smithing merchants, and then there's the enchanting merchants along the way if you want to visit them, but you don't have to visit them. We're actually here in quite a bit of time. Usually I spend a bit more time buying stuff in Solitude, so there's actually less of a time delay. I'm very surprised. That took 5 hours to fast travel from there to there. That doesn't make sense. It should be a lot more than 5 hours, so I think something bugged up there. It usually takes about 12. But yeah, anyway, I guess you can't complain. It's usually not that long. It's usually it's about 12 hours to fast travel from Solitude to Falkreath, so I think something kind of bugged there, because it was about 3 PM when we were in Solitude. It should have been a lot quicker, which is weird. Maybe that's a difference between the PC and the console. I'm not 100% sure. Knowing my luck now, we'll fight a freaking dragon. Anyway, now you can go to his inventory, and I just guess to prove that it's different, we'll access it. Last time... Now, usually you have to wait for them to jump on their crafting equipment to access their inventories. Because sometimes they just don't have the dialogue there, so I usually just wait. And then we'll go into his inventory. We sold him lots of stuff last time, and yeah, now he's got different stuff. So there you go. Point proved. Merchant inventories reset every 2 in-game days, and you can just go around this loop and sell crap to merchants and then make a lot of money. And here we go, we've only got about $20,000 worth of Iron Daggers in our inventory now. LOL! So what we can do now is we can go to Whiterun. We're actually going to skip ahead, and I'm going to show you the final part. Show you guys the final part of the video that you can now do, that you have a stupendous amount of money. And you'll notice that I have held off leveling up, because we are going to do the exact same thing that we did with the speech training. We're going to wait, we're going to get some alchemy training, we're going to level up, and then we're going to get some more alchemy training, and then we're going to get 10 in one go. So this is Arcadia. She is an expert alchemy trainer. To train a skill to expert level costs on the order of 60,000 gold from scratch rather than 10,000 gold from scratch. I could buy her ingredients, so I might just do that first. because now is also a good time to hoard ingredients from alchemists, now that you're at the stage of the game where you can afford to do that and pay for this stuff, because we've got sweet-ass Banish Daedra daggers, don't we? Alright, so that's that happened, and then we're going to get some training. Just mash the button to train, and then we're going to exit your inventory, and then we're going to level up, and hopefully we don't level up twice. No, we don't, cool. Right, and then we're going to get some more training. And, yeah, and then we have got less gold than we had, and now Arcadia has 5,000 gold, but that doesn't matter because we've got a lot of daggers, so we're just going to doink, 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 and we'll try and find the one that's worth the least amount of money, which is, sadly, that one. Anyway, it doesn't matter if you go over it, because yeah, what's 100 gold at this stage of the game, eh? So yeah, you have now reached economic self-sufficiency. Congratulations. You can now basically just buy iron from smiths, and then soul gems from merchants, and then follow this little route, and then whenever you need money, you can just make it from following the route and selling stuff to merchants. So yeah, officially, money will never be a problem for us anymore. Congratulations. Yay! So I think on that point, we might head outside, and we will call it a video, because that hopefully gets rid of a lot of the admin non-combat stuff in one go. So thank you very much, guys, and I hope you have... Actually, we'll save first, because that's the tradition. We'll save now that we're here. Thank you very much, guys, and I hope you have a good day.